Well, recently I've been doing a few paintings which are based in the Lake District, which is a very beautiful part of the UK. Anyway, I've come across this lovely picture here. This is Coledale. There's lots of valleys up there and lakes generally, but I thought I'd have a go at this one because we've got the distant mountains there and some greens here, different greens and yellows here. The problem with a lot of scenes that you do in the countryside, it's all green. It's very difficult to capture all those greens and sometimes a little bit overwhelming. Obviously, the better painter you are, the more you can graduate those greens. But I've got some quite distinct greens here, sort of lemon greens there, darker bluey sorts of greens here. But I've got some interesting shapes here as well, which I can try to get. I've got some lines of some trees there without much leaf on them, a chance to put some shape in there, and all these different colours here obviously keep it fairly muted at the back. But I've got a line of trees here, and there's quite a bit of detail which I'll be able to get some of it in, not all of it. Of course, you've got to simplify it. But the clouds, look at that bank of cloud there. And looks like it's raining over here. Anyway, this is Coledale in the Lake District. You'll see that I've got a rough sketch there, which I'm not sure that you can actually see at this point. It's a bit faint. Anyway, my usual colours, just run through those. I've got yellow ochre, some Naples yellow here, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow rather, cadmium red, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, burnt sienna here, umber here, raw umber, raw sienna there. And over here I've got viridian and some sap green. But what I forgot to put out, of course, is the thing that you get through most of all when you're painting is your white. And I will remedy that now. This is titanium white. So I'll need a good lump of that to mix my colours up. Also, I've got two little pots on here, tucked away in my Pochard box. I've got some poppy seed oil as a medium, but I've also got liquid in one of the pots, which is really helps the paint flow off of your brush, but also is pretty good at making it dry. It's a sort of drying agent as well. So let's pop that down in there. So I think I'm going to put my sky in actually. As I said, the conventional wisdom is that you put with your darkest darks, but I think I'm going to break the rules today. I just want a little bit of sky in here. So I've got some cerulean and a little bit of ultramarine. Let's get some of our liquid, help it flow, and some titanium white as well. So let's mix that up on my palette here. you'll soon see that it's the shape of the mountainside. Yes, I think we're going to need a little bit more. I'm painting on a canvas panel, which is, let me think, 10 by 12. It fits in my Prashad box. I can drop it down the back there when it's wet if I'm out in the field, as it were. But unfortunately, when it's in the slot, you get a little edge which is hidden. So as I'm in the studio now, not a problem. I'll just got a little clamp here on this right side, holding it temporarily. We've got to get some clouds in as well. There's some interesting cloud shapes here. And of course the one advantage when you're in your studio, they're not going to change, are they? They're going to stay in that shape. Unlike when it's on plein air, you've got to map it in quickly or choose on a cloud formation and go with it, because it'll soon be gone. So I'm just going to map in the main shapes. Before we put in our clouds, let's have a little bit more poppy oil so it flows a little better off this brush. Got a fairly big brush now. This is a number 8 long flat. Right, I'll just take this clip off a minute. See that all obscuring the view. I've got the line of the mountain more or less correct, but as I say, you can cut into that as you go. You need to with your mountain side, you can cut in, or you could cut in with your paint. This is the nice part about oil painting. You can soon redress some errors. It's not always so easy with watercolor. Let's leave it there, I think. Just on that edge. Is that going to do it? Yes, I think it will. Right. Now, if if I go back to my reference, I can see that I've got a nice contaminated my brush. A little bit of ochre there. That won't do. So simple enough done. Get a roll of this tissue from your local garage. You can usually buy that. Right. And I've got my white a little too close to my ochre there. A little bit careless picking it up. There we are, just clean my brush a bit. And we go again. Clean your brush. That's it. There's quite a cloud here. Quite fluffy, and so I want a nice soft edge to it. We've got a little bit of cloud running here. Just lay it over. This is a wet on wet technique, of course, which we've got with Alla Prima. And it comes out here a little bit more. And then we've got, we can put a little darker blue cut into our cloud here. So let's mix a bit of ultramarine and that cerulean, so we can drop it in there, and even up here. Yes, I think we need to, that shape is wrong, so we can just cut in a bit like that. And also in here more. Right. Okay. Having a little bit wetter mixture is helping with there, with a little bit more of the poppy seed oil. That's making it flow a little bit, but I want some more blue here. Let's get some of that oil. So our medium, a little bit more wetter. Right, clean your brush regularly. Got a little bit of ochre in that actually. Change the tone a little bit. Well, let's leave that for the moment. And then we should, let's get this mass in here with some different greens. So I've got some sap green. It's a fairly thin mixture. It's always a good idea to start with a fairly thinnest mixture. Then it's easier to adjust it, lay over it. So, right, we've got that now. And then let's get a raw sienna with a little bit of, I think I'll put a hint of red in it. Some more. Some ochre. Got to make sure I've got some contrasts as well. Needs a bit darker, a little bit of umber, little touches go in. That comes right down off of here. And let's get some, put some meridian. Let's see if we can get some changes there. Right, let's clean that off a little bit, and a little bit of red burnt sienna. So we just get some broad outlines in at this point. Try not to get focusing on the detail at this point. Okay, let's leave that for the moment. Now we've got to get on to some of these blues in this hillside. I think we need to do that. And as I said, they're in the distance, so we've got to make sure that they're not too green or bright. They've got to be certainly not too much colour. If you have too much colour, they come forward. So let us get on with a mix of something there. All right, let's clean this brush and See if I can get some of those blues in. Cleaning my brush with odorless mineral spirit. So let's get a little bit of ultramarine and let's see, I've got to experiment. It's a little bit grey actually. I think that might be the way to go. Got to have a little blue though. It's getting that fine judgment of how blue. Very tricky one really. But let's bite the bullet. Where shall I start? So I think I'll just cut in generally on the hillside, and then we can adjust the tones later. But it's most important I get the tonal values right, or we don't have any sense of distance. It's this majesty of the distance. If you go to the lakes, you climb the hills, the fells as they're called, and you'll look down on these valleys like this. I had a comment on one of my YouTube presentations that they like the sound of my painting. Presumably you can hear the brush on this canvas board. I know some YouTubers like to play music, which I don't, because, well, it's about painting, isn't it? That's what I like to do, but everybody to their own. And then we need to get darker elements in, definitely. So I'm going to get some burnt umber there. A little bit of ultramarine, and I've got to try and show some of these valleys. And there's one up here. I've got to deep in that valley at the side there. Some come down. Some of these so I think some of these dark areas come down as well. Got to try and get this light and dark. We'll go to a smaller brush as we go. Now perhaps I should get some of the right greens in. Nice bright lightish green in some of these areas. So I've got some sap green here. I'm going to also put a little bit of lemon yellow. No, it's not yellow, it's cadmium yellow. We need some oil here to make this flow a bit better. Get some more yellow. Right, and it comes down a little here. Let's get a little bit of variability. So put a little bit of ultramarine there with my green. Gives me a darker tone, and that comes into our frame here. See some greens here. Gonna try and keep some variety going. Let's get a little bit of lighter green going in here. Let's get a little bit there. I've got to try and put some of these trees in as well. Little lines of trees. So we can do that with a smaller brush later. And try and get these masses in. And also I've got, actually let's get a little bit of, I've got some Naples yellow, which I've mixed with the green there. Give some nice lighter greens there. Trying to leave some nice brush marks as well, because I like to see that. I like it painterly, not sort of smoothed out. I'm not trying to produce a photographic record. I want it to look painterly. And we've got to get little lines of trees here. Right, we'll do that later. Perhaps here I'm doing what I say I shouldn't be doing. It's fiddling around with the detail. Yes, I think we can put a few marks in here already with this big brush. But let's go back again, darken some of these ravines there. They run in like this. I've got this big brush, it allows me to do that fairly quickly, and you get sort of shadowed effects as well from the clouds. Got to try and do that a little bit, and here is when we need to start. See if we can create some shapes. So in the foreground or in the middle distance here, we've got to try and get some shapes of trees. But I think I should just map in this area, and then we can cut in with a nice smaller brush to define our trees more. And that comes right down here. And we have really a beautiful tree here. Again, we can cut in to that, I think, later. Try and do some shaping of the tree. And I've got to try and put a few hedges in as well, but let's get on. I've got some Naples yellow here, cadmium yellow. It's a lovely tree here. Again, we can define it better when we've mapped it in and we go to the fine detail. And right, let's get some darks in. get some ultramarine. And cut in a little bit into this lighter tree here, trying to get some form. Of course, remember it's the contrast of different shades, dark and light, which will make your flat shape look as though it's got some form to it. So you've got to do that. We'll vary this tones as well. A little bit of umber there. Let's get some sienna in there. Now that's yes, that's burnt sienna. Sort of slightly reddish. Get some green more again. Let's use a bit of that meridian. As I said, the greens are just infinite numbers of greens that you can make. Different proportions of your different greens, and your browns and your yellows. Okay, we've got some more yellow greens here, brighter ones. I'll put them up against your dark ones as well. So I'm using umber here. Ultramarine, sap green. Again, we'll try and make some shapes, more realistic shapes in a moment. Let's press on. I think the shapes is what will make it read. We've got to do that. Dark against light. So sort of real copse of trees there. Now I've got to bring it down to meet that edge there. Let's put a little bit of Naples yellow there to mix with, give us a little bit of light there. And actually we've got some reds as well. Let's mix that. I think we've got to get something in here that reads. Now I'm standing back, which is a good thing to do sometimes. Squint your eyes and I can see I need to have a much darker area here. sort of a bit of a contrast there. So it comes like almost a valley and round, cutting that shape a little bit. All that. Get some green. Let's put some white and some yellow with that. Just view them as shapes rather than trees. Just look at your reference and say, what do I see in terms of the shape rather than viewing it as a tree. It's a little bit easier to do it then. Right, now let's see, I've got to improve this a little bit here. It's not looking like grasses as much as it should do. And yes, I think I need to put a very pale green in here. This little gap here. So what I've essentially done here is I've covered the canvas with paint now. Now we can sort of think about trying to refine some of the details. Yes, I think a smaller brush might be what I need for the moment. Let's just right. It's a little confused at the moment. So let's stand back and think a little bit. Yes, I think I can put a little bit of viridian here. A little bit of ultra sap mixed with it. That's right, I think got to get some little dark bits in though. Absolutely necessary. Dark bits in here to try and define some of these shapes. But I've got to, I think I need something a bit lighter, a bit redder. In here. Let's put some, yes, I think our Naples yellow can help here. The grasses. Give me some sense of this being a little bit of a valley there. Bit of raw sienna there. Try and make our eye go down that hillside a little bit. Bit more thicker paint with that sap green there. A bit of more texture in the foreground here. We can do these with a smaller brush. I'm just blocking still. Right, I think what I need now, let's get straight on with a smaller brush and put in some of the lovely trees which are in the distance. So I've got to get the size right to help us with the perspective. And we've got little lines of trees here. Big one out here, slightly bigger. And also you've got a few hedges as well. Yes, that's an idea. Right, I think I can just do a little. Say they're so far away, they're essentially just shapes. So I'm just going to tickle them in with a little bit of ultramarine. Trying to suggest some hedgerows. Right. Actually, while we've got this, you can define probably better some of these little trees. Well, they're not so little actually, but it's a dense area. Try and get some shapes in which suggest it. And I noticed here, let's clean the brush off. We need some nice yellow here. Let's get back to the shapes again with the green. Now, have I got, I think I need to bring in my trees down into the valley here to help our eye. ones nearer us. Of course, I'm trying to have them a little different in shape. Show me perspective. Actually, now I've got a little bit of cover there. You can use your palette knife to give you some interesting textural lines to help the viewer see that as a sort of valley. Yes, you can get a really nice textural effect. Get some grasses showing as well. And also you can show in these darker areas some of the boughs of the trees. It'll give a little bit of dimension to it. A little bit of yellow ochre there. And what I could do, actually, you can do, to get me some sense of the line of trees, you can use your palette knife to do a line for you. You can make it, yes, that's better. That's coming together now. And a little bit of textural work there, although I don't want that. Right. We need to put something in. No, I think we need to have that a little bluer than that. Lighter. So let's get some blue there. It's coming a little green there, actually. Let's say we can do this. There we go. And then we just put a lighter mixture in. Let's get some tissue. I'm just looking at my line of the skyline. Have I got it about right? I think I have, actually, more or less. It's not wildly out of what you'll see if you go up to, this is Coledale. Coledale in the lakes. So let's get a little bit of, I need a bit of blue and some titanium. Yes, that's what I need here. Right. Let's go back to that brush. Yes, I think we just need to darken that little bit of valley there. I can read it as a, and up in there too, I think we could bring that like that. To soften some of those edges. Now, let me think, do I... Actually, there's a couple of trees which I was intending to put in, actually, in this foreground area. So we don't have to follow it, but I can see that a nice tree here I'll put with a little small brush in a minute. I can do some work to suggest. Let me get, yes, here we are, a little smaller here. A couple of areas where we could suggest this. Got to be very light as it's alla prima. Let me think a little bit. Yes, we can get a few textural marks in here. Well, we've got our little brush. And I think I've got to just tap in a little little green over this, just to leave the hint of a big tree. Yes, I think right. Put a little line of trees, a little stand of woodland there. I can add that to my design. Not that it's there, but I think it probably helps. Right, how are we doing? I think we could put areas of light. Oh yes, I can just see now an opportunity to use some of this Naples yellow to cut in a little bit here. Help give us some light against the darks. Yes, I think we could. And also down here, let's introduce a little bit here so we can get some depth. Cut into the shape of the trees a little bit. I think here so you could see a little bit of a valley behind. I think that's an idea. And so you can have more vibrant, more vivid colours in your foreground. So let's get a bit of colour going here, and let's just use this sap green that we've got and a viridian, and then we can give a little bit of texture to this, I think. If we use a smaller brush, and then we could scratch out a few tufts of grass here. Well, I think I've just about finished with that. I mean, as I said, I can go on and do a lot of well, there's my finished painting of this scene in the Lake District. I think it's quite, I've got a fair amount of light and brightness in it. Whether I should have the mountains a little bit more blued out, I think perhaps I could have done that. And I've got the shapes of this clump of trees here and this other big tree here, and I've done a little bit of textural work here and scratched in a few limbs of these trees just to give a little bit of light to it. But anyway, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, perhaps you could consider that. Helps the channel grow, and I get feedback as well. Any comments that you have, any points about the painting or painting in general, I'll be interested to hear that, and I'll get back to you on any queries you have. Anyway, thanks for watching.